Welcome to Deep Cyber's weekly cybersecurity briefing. Here's what has unfolded over the past week. This week, one idea cuts across every story. Trust in our tools, our vendors, our platforms, and even our own software has become the primary surface that attackers are exploiting. When the thing protecting you becomes the thing threatening you, the rules of defense change entirely. We start with a story about a tool millions of people trust with their most sensitive information, their passwords. Microsoft revealed that its Edge browser had been loading all saved passwords into computer memory in plain, readable text every time the browser started up. What made this worse was Microsoft's initial response. The company told the security researchers who flagged it that the behavior was intentional and working as designed. Only after public pressure from the cybersecurity community did Microsoft reverse course and commit to a fix. For any organization where employees save passwords in their browser, that window of exposure is real. Malware designed specifically to scan memory for credentials could have harvested login details silently without triggering a single alert. The practical question for your business is this: do you know where your employees are actually storing their passwords right now? That story was about trusting a browser. This next one is about trusting the building blocks that software itself is made from. OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, was hit by a supply chain attack. Hackers didn't break down the front door. They slipped in through a compromised open source software library called TanStack, which OpenAI developers were using in their daily work. 2 employee devices were successfully infected, and attackers managed to steal credential material, login keys and access tokens from OpenAI's internal code repositories. That kind of stolen access is dangerous precisely because it doesn't look like a break-in. It looks like a legitimate developer logging in. The full extent of what was accessed has not been disclosed, and that uncertainty itself is a warning signal for any organization that relies on open source software in its development pipeline. The takeaway is straightforward. The libraries your developers trust every day are now a target, and most organizations have no visibility into what those libraries are actually doing. And now, the tools being used to run attacks like that one are becoming disturbingly easy to obtain. A hacking group known as TeamPCP publicly released the source code for a self-spreading computer worm they call SheiHulud, specifically encouraging other criminals to use it in supply chain attacks, and offering cash bounties to those who succeed. A worm spreads automatically from system to system without any human involvement, and by targeting the supply chain, a single deployment can cascade through hundreds or thousands of businesses downstream. What this release does is collapse the skill barrier. Attackers who couldn't build these tools themselves can now simply download and deploy them. The bounty model turns cybercrime into a structured incentive program, and organizations that haven't audited their software supply chain recently should treat this as an urgent prompt to do so. The theme of lowered barriers continues, but this next story shifts the target from your software to your active login sessions. Researchers have identified a malware tool called REMUS, which doesn't bother stealing passwords at all. Instead, it steals the session tokens your browser holds after you've already logged in, meaning attackers can take over your banking, email, or social media accounts without ever knowing your password. REMUS operates as malware as a service, sold on criminal marketplaces through subscription packages, and its developers have been updating it rapidly, adding new capabilities to outpace security software. This matters for businesses because multi-factor authentication, while still important, does not protect a session that has already been established. Once the token is stolen, the attacker inherits the access. Encouraging employees to log out of sensitive accounts when they're not in use, and monitoring for unexpected account activity are no longer optional habits. They're baseline hygiene. TeamPCP appears again in our next story, this time not distributing attack tools, but selling stolen intellectual property. The same group is now advertising stolen source code allegedly taken from Mistral AI, one of Europe's leading artificial intelligence companies, on underground criminal forums, and threatening to leak it publicly if no buyer emerges. Source code is the blueprint of a company's technology. Its exposure can allow competitors to copy the work, reveal security weaknesses, or permanently erode a company's competitive position. This is part of a pattern of hackers specifically targeting AI companies, which hold some of the most commercially valuable intellectual property in the world right now. For any organization racing to build or protect proprietary technology, the question worth asking this week is whether your access controls and data monitoring are actually calibrated to protect your most critical assets, or just your most obvious ones. From external attackers stealing assets, we move to a threat that comes from the inside, not from insiders, but from the tools insiders use every day. Bitdefender conducted a 45-day study inside real organizations and found that attackers are increasingly using standard Windows administration tools, programs like PowerShell, CertUtil, and MS-Build, to carry out attacks without ever introducing suspicious outside software. This technique is sometimes called living off the land, and it works because security systems are designed to trust these tools. They're supposed to be there. What Bitdefender found was that when teams actually watched how these tools were being used, who was running them, when, and why, they discovered activity that looked completely routine on the surface, but was in fact unauthorized. For business leaders, this reframes the security question. It's no longer just about keeping bad software out. It's about understanding the behavior of the software you already have inside your walls. And finally, a story about the race to use artificial intelligence to fight back. Microsoft has built a multi-agent AI system, multiple AI programs working together on different tasks simultaneously, that has outperformed Anthropic's competing model on a prominent cybersecurity benchmark, a standardized test measuring an AI's ability to identify vulnerabilities and respond to threats. This matters because faster, more capable AI security tools could mean earlier detection of attacks and better protection at scale, particularly for organizations that don't have large dedicated security teams. But experts are right to note the double edge here. The same reasoning capability that finds threats can be pointed in the other direction to find weaknesses. As AI becomes a more powerful weapon on both sides of this conflict, understanding where it fits in your security strategy is becoming a leadership-level conversation, not just a technical one. Step back and look at the full picture this week. A password manager built into a trusted browser was shown to be critically flawed with passwords stored in plain text. Attackers were busy throughout the week as they slipped into OpenAI through a trusted software library. They armed other criminals with ready-made worms to attack trusted supply chains. They built a business model around stealing trusted login sessions. They stole the intellectual foundation of a trusted AI company, and they ran attacks using the very tools your security systems are configured to trust. The pattern isn't subtle. In 2026, trust itself is the attack surface, and organizations that haven't mapped where their trust is concentrated are operating with a gap they may not see until it's too late. That's all for this week. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll be back next week with more cyber security updates.